If you enjoy listening to inspirational stories from people just like us, facing the fear and doing it anyway, then you're in the right place. My name is Claire Hill, and this is the No Rest for the Vivid podcast. Hello, welcome to episode 50 of No Rest for the Vivid. I laugh because I can't believe I've recorded 50 episodes. And the podcast is just over a year old. But I did have that little break. I know I said in the previous episode, but to get to 50 episodes and recording it, and actually the work that goes behind the podcast, I'm pretty proud of that. I do it all myself. So yeah, I'm impressed with myself. But to celebrate the fact that it is episode 50, today you are getting an audiobook episode, and I am going to read to you my ebook that is called Life Hacks for a Warrior Boss. Now, it was called Life Hacks for a Small Business CEO, which is quite a mouthful, but I don't like using the word small business owner, small business. I know for a fact that we are a small business and we are small business owners, but I really like to use the term warrior boss because I just think it's so much more empowering than small business owner. So I am going to read to you Life Hacks for a he said it again. Hold on. Life Hacks for a Warrior Boss. And it is the life hacks to create warrior energy, become more productive, more efficient, and the best warrior boss for you and your business. And this is an ebook that I wrote coming up for a year ago. And it was intended to be my 1% factor for me to write the book that I have started and am yet to finish. But I am going to write this book. I'm so passionate about the book. I'm so passionate about teaching people, warrior bosses, that regardless of the circumstances that you were born into or have experienced, you can create the business of your dreams and you can earn the money that you want to, regardless of what's going on in the economy as well. Obviously, you have to adapt and be flexible. But I believe that if you have experienced trauma or adverse life events, you are mega built for this. It's just understanding that sometimes you might have some limiting beliefs around that because you haven't had the same security and safety created for you, but you can create it for yourself. So I'm very passionate about that. And that's why I want to write the book. I want to tell as many people as possible. I want the whole world to understand that if something terrible has happened to you and you have experienced that pain, that you can use it to create something wonderful. Also, I love a life hack. So that's why I wrote this ebook. So I'm going to get started. I feel like most audiobooks don't have this much of an intro. But yeah, I'm going to get started now and go all a bit professional. Okay. Life hacks for a warrior boss. The life hacks to create warrior energy, become more productive, more efficient, and the best warrior boss for you and your business, by Claire Hill. If you want things to change, first you have to change you. The Lion Inside by Rachel Bright. For Dan. Introduction. This short ebook will tell you some of the life hacks I use to make myself the best CEO for me and my small business. Although if you don't run a small business, you will still find a lot of value here. Being your own small business CEO means you must be a generator of ideas, energy, motivation, and momentum, especially if you are a single-handed, independent small business. It needs to be created for a continuous stream of CEO warrior energy. But what is warrior energy? Warrior energy is feeling motivated to get up and get shit done, feeling driven to overcome negative thoughts and design the life of your dreams, feeling passionate about your products and the service you give your customers and clients, the confidence in every action you take because each one drives you and your business forward, feeling magic because of your creative talent and ability to make joy for your customers. Having courage when you embrace fear and do it anyway. Knowing who you are, what you stand for, where you're going, and not giving a fluff what people think. Feeling on top of the freaking world because you are so grateful that every twist and turn so far has led you to this place where you are right now, where you are supposed to be. Remember, it takes the same amount of energy to be a warrior as it does a warrior. Which one will you choose? I believe in magic. I am obsessed with creative business. All creativity is magic and can bring joy to not only yourself, but to others too. Many times I brought to life a vision in my head and been quite shocked at my own talent. And yes, it is perfectly acceptable to call yourself talented. Shout it out. I have talent. If you don't adore your own work, who will? Talent only gets you so far though, and this ebook has been written to give you tips, tricks and life hacks of how to create more energy and more productivity. My hard work and drive come from the heart, but I am only human and I need to have systems in place for my body and mind to run as efficiently as I need them to. If you have stumbled across me and have no idea of my story, I have written a short version of it, which is at the end. So, my life hacks. I have split them into chapters with a short task at the end, designed to give momentum in establishing each one into your daily life. My favourite small business CEO life hacks are the 1% life hack, the 1% factor life hack, the don't snooze the alarm life hack, the how to focus efficiently life hack, the having a brighter mindset life hack, and how to not give a fluff what people think life hack. Chapter 1, the 1% factor life hack. The 1% factor is one of my ultimate life hacks. I use it to trick my brain out of overwhelm and procrastination into action and productivity. It is adapted from Kara Lowenthal's theory of the infinite 1%. Kara describes the infinite 1% as the fact that starting something takes more energy than when you are in the middle of the task. It also fits with Newton's law of motion, that something that is at rest stays at rest, and if something is in motion, it continues in motion. It takes more energy to begin a task and achieve 1% of it compared to moving from 10% to 30% complete. Have you ever taken ages to begin something? For example, sorting your wardrobe out. As soon as you start, you can't stop yourself. Without noticing, 3 hours or more have whizzed past and you have a tidy and organised wardrobe to be proud of. You didn't notice those 3 hours go past, but you did feel that first 2 minutes when you stood staring at the wardrobe, muttering over and over again, let's get this shit done. Every task in our human world has a 1% factor, the very first single tiptoe step into motion that overrides the resistance to start. Therefore, if we know what that 1% factor is before we begin, can we shove that procrastination out of the way sooner? If I feel I'm procrastinating, I ask myself 2 things. Am I going to feel productive and better about my day if I start getting on with this job? And what is the 1% factor? When I plan strategy for my businesses, every goal has a 1% factor attached to it that helps me to get going when I feel resistance. If I have already planned what that 1% factor is, I remove the energy needed to break the task down into chunks. For example, I need to plan my content for the next month. 1% factor. Put a timer on for 5 minutes to write down my purpose for content that month, and then 5 ways that I can achieve that. When the timer goes off, I feel motivated to plan images to use and to begin to create the skeleton captions before I become productive. I procrastinate all the time, but by applying the 1% factor, I reduce its detrimental impact on my potentially very productive day. I have found that the 1% factor plays an important part in achieving the goals we dream of because it helps us to embrace the fear associated with them. In summary, when you feel procrastination creeping in, decide what is 1% of that job. If you are not sure, always resort to putting a timer on for 2 minutes and then seeing how you feel afterwards. We can all do that. We can all do 2 minutes of something, can't we? Success task. Set yourself a goal. It could be something trivial like the washing up or a big task like your tax return. Decide what 1% of that task would be. 2 minutes of work, washing up 1 cup, plugging the Hoover in. Do the 1% and then assess how you feel after completing the 1%. Do you feel that you could do more? Do you feel you have momentum? Do you feel lighter because you have started it? Apply the 1% factor to any task that you are avoiding or procrastinating over. Chapter 2, the don't snooze the alarm life hack. I used to live in a studio flat the size of a postage stamp. I am not exaggerating. Well, actually, of course I am, but it was small. It was also my pride and joy. It was a studio, and I, illegally, though I didn't realise at the time, had a bedroom built into the main room of the flat. I believed that this would finally cure my insomnia, which I had been suffering with for as long as I can remember. I decorated the room like a cloud with sky blue walls, which my sister painted as I'm shit at decorating, and bought a bright white duvet set. But having this glorious new tiny bedroom did nothing to improve my sleep. I was 25, for goodness sake, no children, living on my own, and I still couldn't sleep well. Every morning I woke up to 7 different alarms intended to wake me up gently. However, I snoozed every single one, and each time, every single alarm made me more and more pissed off. I would stumble out of bed at the last possible moment, feeling groggy, annoyed, and quite simply rank. This process and habit continued for another 4 years. I had been sleeping and waking up in a shit way for most of my life, and it felt shit. Have you felt like this before? Do you wake up in a similar way? When I began training as a teacher, I soon realised it's a challenge to have a productive day teaching teenagers maths. If you start your day feeling like this, so I began to do some research about how to have a better night's sleep. I came across an article about how snoozing isn't a great way to start your day. The sleep charity says that every time the alarm goes off, you get an increase in cortisol, which causes you to wake abruptly and send your body into fight or flight response. So before you even start your working day, running a business, probably parenting, looking after the home, etc., you're already stressed because of how you woke up. On learning this information, I decided to stop snoozing. It was not an overnight success, and sometimes I still fall off the wagon. The very first morning was the toughest. It is a huge challenge because you are fighting against every instinct to get back into bed, and the future version of yourself has to roar within you, within your mind. You will be grateful to yourself for doing this. I moved my phone away from my bed, so I had to move to turn the alarm off. It's even more advisable to move the phone out of your bedroom and purchase an old-fashioned alarm clock. But I must admit that is a little too much for me. I found an app called Alarmy, and the only way to stop the alarm is to complete a mission. I have chosen simple maths questions to complete. The maths teacher in me will never die, but you can choose a simple memory game or taking a photo of an object in a different room in the house. Once the mission is complete, your brain is more awake. However, you are still going to have to use some willpower and find that roar from your future self to stop you getting back into bed. The other benefit of not snoozing your alarm is that you get more hours of better quality sleep. For example, if the old version of me needs to get up at 7 a.m., I would have 7 alarms at 8-minute intervals working backwards from 7 a.m. I can't believe I used to do this. Which means my first alarm would go off at 6:04 a.m. What the hell was I thinking? Now, if I need to get up at 7 a.m., The alarm goes off at 7 a.m. I get an extra 56 minutes of sleep every day. That's over 4.5 hours of sleep a week. Obviously, I only put alarms on during the week. No wonder I feel better than I used to. Even if you're not as extreme as I was in the alarm setting stupidness, calculate how much extra sleep you'll get if you don't snooze your alarm. Something to consider is a daylight alarm clock. This tech is not new and has been around for a few years, but it allows you to wake up in light during the dark winter month. They can be pricey, but buying a plug socket timer, the kind you use when you go on holiday to fool the would-be burglars that you're in fact at home and not in the Costa del Sol, is a great way to program the lamp in your bedroom to turn on just before your alarm goes off, which means you never have to wake up in the dark again. Everyone is different, but as soon as I'm awake, I get in the shower. You may not have a shower, but get some water on your face as soon as you can. The voice that tells me to get back into bed is basically a bloody bastard. I roar to it in my mind, no negotiation. You don't have to use the same phrase, but come up with something that you will roar to yourself when the voice is telling you to get back into bed. The voice that is trying to persuade you to snooze the alarm is not the CEO of your business. It does not have the best interests for you or your business at heart, so do not listen to it. You could even choose to get up a little earlier. Spend that time doing a bit of reading, listening to a podcast, writing, watching your favourite TV, anything that is just for you. Giving myself extra time in the morning for me means that when my son Jackson wakes up, I can be the best mummy for him and give him the attention he needs before being a kick-ass small business CEO, aka warrior boss. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I have had to get up really early to give myself that time. But in my opinion, it has always been worth it. Success task. Choose a day to not snooze the alarm and start with a day you don't have to get up early for. If you do this, please message me to tell me that you are going to do this, and I will give you so much support and encouragement, and I will follow it up and make sure that you're feeling good about it too. Be prepared that if you are anything like I used to be, the first time you refuse to snooze the alarm is going to be a challenge, but you can do difficult things. If you visualize and prepare yourself for it to be horrendous, you are more likely to achieve your goal. Once achieved, assess how you feel during the morning. Do you have more energy? Do you feel happier and more motivated? Chapter 3, the How to Focus Efficiently life hack. If you physically meet me in person or over Zoom, it doesn't take me long to tell you about the Pomodoro technique. I am extremely passionate about it, how this simple life hack can help you to be more productive, more motivated, more efficient, and grow your business. I would argue that it even gives you energy and time because it makes you feel so bloody great. The Pomodoro technique was created by Francesco Cirillo and named after the tomato-shaped kitchen timer that Francesco used when he came up with the idea. Pomodoro is Italian for tomato. The principle is to focus on specific tasks for only 25 minutes at a time and then break for 5 minutes. After repeating 4 times, you can take a longer 20 to 30 minute break. The breaks are just as important as the 25-minute focus intervals, as you use this time to recharge and create more energy to focus for another 25 minutes. 25 minutes is just enough time to get something done, but not a huge amount of time that feels overwhelming. I have been using the Pomodoro technique for over 10 years and still find it useful. I get easily distracted as my mind is thinking multiple things all at the same time. While the focused 25-minute timer is on, I have a notepad next to me, so if any distractions occur, I write them down, and if I need to, deal with them in one of my breaks or add them to my to-do list. You have 2 kinds of distractions: external, email, phone call, toddler needing a poo, and internal, have I got milk on the shopping list? I need to check my Instagram again, etc. Obviously, some distractions need to be dealt with in that moment, especially the poo one, but others can wait, and the Pomodoro techniques helps you to learn how to prioritize and focus on one task at a time. Success task. Write a to-do list. Prioritize the tasks in order of importance. Start a 25-minute timer and start with the most important task. During the focused 25 minutes, if a thought enters your mind or you feel distracted, write it down on a notepad and then carry on with the task at hand. If you finish the task and the timer hasn't ended yet, start the next one on the list. When the timer ends, have a lovely 5-minute break, swiping through Instagram, checking your emails, or making a cuppa. When the break ends, be disciplined and begin your focus time immediately. When you have completed this cycle 4 times, treat yourself to a long break of 20 to 30 minutes and marvel at how much you have completed on your to-do list. You will probably finish your work earlier than planned because you were so motivated and efficient. You got a shit ton done in half the time it would normally take you. Give yourself a high five. Chapter 4, the Having a Brighter Mindset Life Hack. I have removed the term positive mindset from my vocabulary. That's not a sweeping statement, as I do use it from time to time, but I agree that saying to people all the time, stay positive, when they are finding life a real bloody challenge is downright annoying. I do not want to be told, look on the bright side when something awful has happened. About a year ago, I flipped my language. Instead of having a positive mindset, I would rather say I have a bright or hopeful mindset. It can be a challenge to begin to create a brighter mindset. All that hopeful attitude and gratefulness can be tough to churn up out of nowhere, especially when things don't appear to be going your way. But I can assure you that if you look at your world through a grateful lens, you begin to find everything a little easier. First off, feel grateful for everything. No joke. When I am feeling particularly shitty, I feel grateful at every point of my day. For example, I'm grateful for my hair. I'm grateful for my brush. I am grateful that I can move my arm to brush my hair. Straight away, I feel more hopeful that I can turn my day around. A great task is to write 5 things you're grateful for at the end of every day and make it a habit. Secondly, watch your language. How many times have you said, oh, I've had a terrible morning, and you feel shit as you even say it? Turn that into, I have had a challenging morning, and even add on the end, and I can do difficult things. Recognizing in yourself the resources that you have to overcome daily challenges like a shitty morning will build resilience and a brighter mindset. The brain likes to have a routine, so the more good you see in your life, the more good you will notice. Thirdly, try a complaint diet. A complaint diet is when you are mindful of how much you moan on a specific day. If you need to get something off your chest, instead of moaning about it, write it down. Look at the next chapter for inspiration and find solutions. Writing about it also offers up to the consideration of whether Writing about it also offers up to you the consideration of whether you can do anything about it at all. And if not, you must find solutions to overcome how you feel about it. By forcing your brain to see more brighter and hopeful things in your life, instead of all the shitty crap all the time, excluding actual crises, of course, you will feel brighter. A great analogy for this is when you're thinking of buying a new car. As soon as you make the decision of the make and model, you see them everywhere because you have programmed your brain to be able to see them when before you didn't notice them. It's the same principle with the good in your life. Program your brain to see it and you will notice it more. The good was there the whole time, including more opportunities and inspiration for ideas to grow and build your business. Clever and yet so bloody simple. Success task. Choose a morning or afternoon you have a complaint diet. Be mindful of everything you talk about. Is it negative or said with a brighter or hopeful tone? Practice this and begin to see all the good that surrounds you every day. Chapter 5, How Not to Give a Fluff What People Think life hack. Before I begin this chapter, I feel confident in saying that this life hack needs obvious daily work. Although 98% of the time, I don't care what anyone thinks about what I do, and no one is actually thinking about you anyway. 2% of the time, I worry and feel anxious. That percentage sometimes increases, but I keep working on it because I must. My life, especially my CEO life, has vastly improved, felt more freeing, and has more joy in it since I have stopped worrying all the time about what people think of me. As Theodore Roosevelt said, comparison is the thief of joy. And though you may not be directly comparing yourself to someone when you worry about what people think, you are in fact comparing your present self to an ideal, made up vision of yourself that you think people want you to be. That version does not exist. It is based on fake thoughts that you think people are thinking about and that you have based on societal constructs, which we all know need a little tweaking. That version of yourself does not come from who you actually are and who you could become when you become the best version of yourself. Becoming the best version of yourself is usually held back by two things. The fear of becoming that person. I mean, what if everything did go exactly how you wanted it to? This is when resistance rears its ugly head, because the fear of change and potentially being successful is sometimes too much for our brain to deal with, so it creates the fear. Secondly, the idea that people may judge us for doing what we want to be doing. I mean, who are you to create a business that is successful? I've asked that question to myself many times, and usually because I have a thought of someone I know thinking, who does she think she is? By the way, anyone who ever suggests that they think of you like this is not your person. I do believe you see the true side of people when you're doing well, not only when you are finding life a challenge. Those people that cheer you through your wins and support your dreams are your people. You may also hold back your shine in case you outshine someone else. And I've done that many times, and that doesn't serve you or them. Be the shiniest version of yourself you can be to make more light for those people to step into. Be an inspiration. If you are getting in your own way of achieving something, weigh up in your mind whether you care more about the fear of doing it or growing your business. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, how much do you really want a successful business? If the answer is, I really bloody want it, then embrace the fear and do it anyway. Many times people have said to me, you are so good at stories on Instagram, I'm too scared to do them. But so am I. But I care more about growing my businesses and my customers and clients getting to know me than I care about what people may think about me when really they're not even thinking about me. If I owned a shop in the high street, I wouldn't be able to hide behind the counter. So therefore, I don't hide behind my stories. Plus, people love seeing other people enjoy what they do. I love what I do. So by sharing the joy I feel, I'm making others feel joy too. Always remember to just be yourself. It gets easy then. I am the same person on my stories and with my family and friends. Becoming the best version of yourself and not giving a fluff what people think starts with really getting to know yourself and knowing the core of who you are, what you value, and becoming your own best friend. To do this, you could start morning pages. In Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way, she explained morning pages are a tool to unlock any creative blocks as an artist by writing 3 A4 sides of continuous writing about anything. It can be utter shite or the step-by-step process to achieving your life goals. I began doing morning pages because I felt my worries increasing and warrior energy levels decreasing, and I needed something to fill them back up again. I started by waking up 20 minutes earlier than I needed to. After the first day, I needed more time to write 3 A4 sides, so I increased this time to 40 minutes. This gave me time to make a coffee and drink that while I was writing. At first, I wrote utter dog shite, and I remember writing, well, this is tough because I don't think I could write for 3 whole pages. I was wrong, of course. If you can talk, you can write. So without expectations of what I was going to write, whether it made sense or whether it would hold any value, I just wrote. It got easier and easier every day. I got up and wrote those pages. The levels of energy that I created from writing those pages increased every day too. As well as my energy, how much I began to understand myself, my thought patterns, what I wanted to achieve and why became very clear. I also noticed that the amount I cared about what other people thought also reduced. As we get to know ourselves better, it becomes a protective force around our actions, as we know that our intention fits perfectly with who we are and who we want to be. By getting to know yourself better, you become a best friend to yourself, one who guards against the worries that you had in the past of how people thought of you. The levels of warrior energy after writing increased dramatically. I felt I could rocket myself to Mars whilst ruling the whole world. I wrote morning pages every morning for 6 months. And at the end of those 6 months, I gradually reduced the number of days I wrote and replaced the time spent on reading. Morning pages have now become part of my toolkit, which is a resource I can depend on to create energy for me and my business. There's a beautiful quote that describes how morning pages makes me feel. You are the sky. Everything else, it's just the weather. Pema Chodron. By writing those pages, it's like a great big gust of wind blows in and takes away any crappy weather, and you are left with just the blue sky of you. Success task. The next time you feel demotivated or a bit lost or just out of sorts, find some quiet time with just yourself, some A4 lined paper and a pen. Write with no expectations of what you're thinking and feeling. Assess how you feel afterwards. Did you come up with any solutions to challenges you were experiencing? Did you come up with a new idea you feel excited about? My story. Let me formally introduce myself. I'm Claire. I am the woman behind Vivid Wire, the Vivid Club, and the No Rest for the Vivid podcast. I am also mummy to the handsome and amazing Jackson River and wife to the very patient and incredible Dan. The story of how I came to create Vivid Wire began when I was about 6 years old. My dad often came home from the pub on a Sunday afternoon with some knick-knack or bargain that he had picked up from the fellow pub goer. I remember once he came back with space ice cream. On this day, he came home with a wad of bright yellow paper. This wad of paper started a passion in me for making things. I started making books, magazines, shoes, bags, and even 2-story shopping centres out of paper. My parents became intensely annoyed by all the tiny bits of yellow paper everywhere, and where I'd cut out different shapes, but it made my heart sing. The feeling of wearing shoes I had made, even if they were made from paper, was something I will never forget. Fast forward to the 28th of February 1993, my dad died of a heart attack. He was 39, 2 weeks before his 40th birthday. My mum was pregnant with my little brother, and I also had 2 younger sisters. A few days after he died, I stopped making and started carrying a doll around to practice looking after a baby, so I was ready for my brother's arrival that September. I was 8 years old. I did pick up making and sewing sporadically through my teenage years, but as a young carer, my priority was supporting my mum with looking after the house, my brother, and my 2 sisters. I was very determined at school and knew that a good education would help me to escape the poverty we experienced. I went to university and fell into support work, caring for adults with learning disabilities and then homeless families. When facing redundancy, I decided to begin a career in education at the age of 27. I've always been very good at looking after people, and with my drive and determination, progressed quickly through promotions and became an assistant head teacher at the age of 31. I loved my job and worked tirelessly with vulnerable students and created strategies to help and support them to reach their full potential. I began a master's in leadership of inclusion, specialising in trauma-informed education, which I've just completed and got a merit. Boom. However, when I was on maternity leave after having my son Jackson, the need to create came back with a vengeance. I'd used wire while creating my wedding flowers, and I'd loved how I could create form and structure with ease. I had visions in my mind of something I wanted to create, and my hands made it. Every time Jackson slept, I made, and after a couple of months, my friend said, "You should sell these." The name Vivid for the business had come to me one day when I was daydreaming at some traffic lights. I knew I wanted to own my own business one day. I had had 2 other attempts which were less than successful, and felt that the word vivid created a powerful and vibrant image in my mind. Coupled with the fact that my nickname is Vid, a shortening of my maiden name, it was a perfect fit, and Vivid Wire was born. I ran Vivid Wire for 18 months before deciding that I had to do it full time. The strain on me and my family working full time and as an assistant head teacher in a rather challenging secondary school and running Vivid Wire was taking its toll. I was getting up at 4 a.m. every morning before Jackson woke up to make orders before school and then making until late into the night after he went to bed. But one thing never changed. No matter how tired I was, I never wanted to give up Vivid Wire. The work I do, the images I create, the words I bring to life make my heart sing. There is no other way to describe it. I now coach and support other small business owners inside the Vivid Club membership and in Project Warrior Boss and with my one-to-one support. I wrote this before, obviously, those little things started. I wrote this actually about a month before the Vivid Club started, so not that long before. But anyway, I haven't written about it. So I now coach other small business owners to help and support them to grow the business of their dreams. And I host a podcast, No Rest for the Vivid, where we discuss how to embrace fear and do it anyway. I get to create and help people now, which is a blooming dream come true. I love every single minute of my working day.